Hey, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Lakers for Thursday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. Lots of lessons to learn from Game 3. What do the Lakers need to do to get back to the finals? But more importantly, Andy, Luka's posting workout videos again. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one's always free, never behind paywall. And of course, Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 35,000 subscribers to the channel, all of whom are getting inspired to get their own fitness going, get the burn ready, all of these things. I'm going to get outside and get my fit on after this one, Andy, because we have been watching Luka Dončić transform his body over the course of a few short weeks since the end of the regular season. We'll end of the playoffs, I should say. So we'll talk about that, and we'll also get into some lessons from Game 3 and perhaps more rumors about what the Lakers might be doing in this offseason to try to improve the team. But first, I want to let everybody know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase, Andy. We'll get to Game 3 here in a second in the finals. Indiana, I don't want to say they pulled off an upset winning at home, but they pulled off an upset in terms of being up 2-1 3 games into the series. I think that is
honestly, I feel like they pulled off an upset just leading as much in a game as they did. I mean, like, forget the outcome. What's really been unusual for them is being ahead for any sustained periods. I believe heading into Game 3, I don't remember the exact number, but they mentioned on the broadcast they had led for, I want to say, about 90 seconds. Game one they led for 0.3 of a second. Right. I think it was about a minute and a half or 2 minutes of total game time ahead heading into Game 3.
Well, it's unfortunate for Oklahoma City that that's not a real stat in terms of deciding who gets to win the finals. But there are a couple things that really stick out when you think about those teams compared to the Lakers. We'll get to it, Andy. But more important than all of this, Luka's posting workout videos and workout photos again, and photos of food and things he's eating. I even saw him playing sort of like a version of almost like pickleball the other day. This is not accidental. I mean, Luka knows what it is when you're putting out the workout videos and things like that, and I like it.
Yeah, this is a still from the most recent workout video that Luka posted on IG. He's doing leg presses with like 8 plates on each side. I have no idea how much the plates are, but let's just say they're
like 45s to me, Andy. I remember from when I used to throw some plates around myself.
Yeah. You and Luka. Luka took his inspiration from deep Google searches he did of your high school workout.
I sent him that workout, Andy.
Yeah, just one white boy teaching another. But
that's right.
Even if let's say they're 25-pound plates, which is probably light, but for the sake of argument, we're talking about 400 pounds just based off the math. 200 on each side. It could be higher, but either way,
those 45s, baby. Yeah.
Luka is very much going out of his way to have people see this, which gets to, I remember the most recent show we did breaking down the photos of Luka's food and workouts and whatnot. We got 2 different types of reaction. One, which we'll get into in a second, people saying, oh, he does this every year in Dallas. You're loosey with the football. Ask any Mavs fan. Table that for a second. We will address that. But then the other one was, why are you guys obsessing over this? This is ridiculous. I get it's the offseason, but like, come on. Because Luka wants us to. Luka wants this to be talked about. There are only so many times you put out public videos and photos of all sorts of things related to fitness on the heels of being traded because reportedly your other team didn't trust your fitness without this being intentional and for an audience?
It would be no less subtle, Andy, if he actually tagged Nico Harrison in these posts. I mean, to be perfectly honest,
Should.
I have a feeling Nico, even if he's not super active on social media, I have a feeling Nico is at least aware. But you look at these things, and we would love the perfect outcome here. And it is fair.
Oh, Nico is on Instagram. I just checked. There is a Nico Harrison with almost 11,000 followers, blue check mark. It is clearly him. Luka really should tag Nico in these. Like, I really wish.
Doesn't need. No, I agree. Doesn't need to. But he could. I think it's this. Like when you break these things down, it is reasonable to say to Luka that fitness. It's not that he is not in, hasn't been able to play minutes, that he's begged out of games and stuff like that. You go to the finals a couple of years ago, the dude played so many minutes through the course of Dallas's run to the finals and through the finals 2 seasons ago. And injuries were a big issue this year in terms of never really being able to get himself in the kind of condition that you would want, short off season and all that stuff. But, he's not an old guy, but he's played a lot of basketball. And as you get older, it is, it is more necessary just to take care of stuff like this. It is a fair thing to ask of him. That said, I think the ideal thing is he does it for the sake of itself. He realizes the value of it, of extending his career, of playing better, of having more availability and all that other stuff. That would be my hope is Luka gets in shape for the intrinsic value of doing it. But I'm willing, at least for now, to accept Luka does this purely out of spite and vengeance. It gets to the same place, so I'm okay with it for now.
Look, there's no reason that this can't evolve. Like, it could begin from a place of pettiness and anger and vengeance and double middle fingers. And then all of a sudden, Luka comes to realize the benefits and wants to keep doing it. Like, frankly, I don't mind if it remains both forever, because one can keep buttressing the other and vice versa. So as far as I'm concerned, let it be 10,000 different reasons that this becomes something permanent for Luka. And like I said before, we saw a lot of Dallas Maverick fan reactions in the YouTube comment section. A lot of people, going back and forth between us and Locked On Mavs. You guys are always welcome here as well. But there is a reaction of Luka does this every year. This is Groundhog Day. This is something that, Nick and Biased and Isaac, they've done these, breakdowns of Luka's fitness and what he looks like in photos. And this happens every year. And then we run into the same perceived problems every year. Don't fall for it. I'm just going to say this right now. You could be right. You could very well possibly be right. But for the time being, I don't care. I don't care. I am going to be excited about this. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to lean into the optimism. I've covered this team for 20 years. I am more than capable of going with the different waves and ebbs and flows and disappointment combined with excitement, yada, yada, yada. I can handle all this. I'm good. I'm leaning into the fun.
I think too, it's like, you look at where sort of the arc of this summer and, the upside of the Lakers finishing when they did and how they did, disappointing as it was, is it does allow Luka an opportunity to have a real offseason and to get the rest that he needs to start the program, to build back up, make his body healthier, all that stuff. I think, playing in Eurobasket is a good opportunity. Gives him a target to work towards, a reason to be in good condition heading into, to training camp and all that other stuff. There's a natural progression to what Luka's offseason looks like that, knock on wood a million times, gets through the tournament okay and all that sort of stuff, doesn't get hurt there. He rolls into training camp ready to go. And I think that is absolutely critical. Something else that's critical, Andy, that I noticed based on the results of Game 3, I will tell you that after the break.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. There is nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, fans losing their minds. It's an atmosphere you got to experience live. And this year, the matchups, I think throughout the playoffs have been awesome. We are down to the home stretch of the finals, and Game Time wants to make it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games, the finals, whatever. And the app makes it really simple and easy to use. 2 taps and you're done. They've got panoramic seat views, killer last-minute deals, and you know that you are getting, with the Game Time guarantee, authenticated tickets on time and the best deal. If you find a better price in the same row or section for a better price, they will credit you 110% of the difference. And now is the time to use Game Time and take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Real quick, before we get to the Game 3 observations, one thing that I think potentially at least could make the Groundhog Day element of this with Luka and offseason fitness different this season for the Lakers than previous seasons with the Mavericks. I know that this has been a talking point with Luka for several years, and whether Luka acknowledges how much this has been discussed or not, I guarantee Luka knows. But this is the first time Luka's ever dealing with this after essentially being publicly shamed for it. And that could make it different this time around in terms of a better commitment towards it, an actual lifestyle change, because before, Luka was never treated so unceremoniously. He was never so unceremoniously dismissed.
There was never a prove it element to it. There was never, like, he could always be like, what do you want from me? I just averaged like 39 and 9. Like, shut up. Like, but now it's not that he's coming off a bad season, but he's coming off, for him, a lesser season. By normal person standards, still pretty good. But like, that was not a good Luka Doncic year. When you go back to what he did in Dallas, just between the injury and all this other stuff, he gets to the Lakers and didn't completely find his footing. Understandable, but this was not a first team All NBA Luka season that he's coming off of, where people then turn around and say, "You've got to get in better shape," and he can say, "For what?" Like, right. But no, like this is much more of a prove it moment, just based on last season. And then when you factor in the trade too, right, and being trashed on the way out the door, and being the, wanting to show, because I don't think he's one of these guys who is just there to collect a check, wanting to show the Lakers that he is in fact, and really show the Mavericks too, that he is in fact worth the investment. The Mavericks cost him a ton of money, and to show them that they made a poor choice, not just for next season, but the seasons following. I do think the context here changes. And, the Mavs folks inside that front office might say, well, that wouldn't have happened if we had kept him here. Maybe not. We'll never know. But this is the world we live in now. And that the fact that Dallas did what it did makes it more likely for the thing to pay off for the Lakers.
Yeah. So we'll see, but I am excited about
it. Game 3, Andy, was a surprise. I think, a lot of people after Game 2 in Oklahoma City rolls in that one expected perhaps for the Thunder to go into Indiana and despite the energy of the crowd and all that stuff, ultimately win the game. And I thought throughout most of the game that they were going to. I felt like Indiana was doing just about everything that it could correctly, doing it right. And Oklahoma City was either right there, still like up by 2, up by 3. But in the fourth quarter, Indiana really pulls away. And, I find this series, it's been 2 of these 3 games have been really entertaining. And, all the pre-series commentary is the worst finals ever. It's like, shut up. It's been really entertaining. It's been good. Ultimately, will be good for the NBA because, as you noted before the thing started, all that money and the ratings and all this, it doesn't matter. Like they're getting the money one way or the other. The ratings are irrelevant, and it's a chance to put some of the best young players and interesting teams on the biggest stage, and it benefits the league.
You know what I thought was interesting? I've heard, because the ratings have not been great for these games so far, and it's not shocking, but I heard somewhere that it was either game 1 or game 2 was the lowest non-COVID finals since 2007. You know who played in 2007 in those finals? LeBron. That was the first finals that LeBron went to as a member of the Cavs. It's Cavs versus San Antonio, so obviously you've got smaller markets, but even somebody like LeBron, who was obviously, he entered the league a massive star and from minute 1 showed that he was going to be one of the best to ever do it. So it's not like there wasn't anticipation about LeBron. And to some degree, this is a pre-social media world, consumption habits, a lot of things that have changed about the way I think people watch the league now,
Sure.
watch sports. But I think in some ways it's very similar to what's going on with the Thunder now. And like SGA is now the new MVP. Even when your credentials are there, you still have to build the excitement. And if somebody like LeBron out of the gate could not automatically get people to watch just because he hadn't to that point proven it, even beyond whatever you want to say about Cleveland and markets, I think it just shows how these things often have to build. And again, this is a great organic opportunity for the NBA to showcase some really fun young players.
Well, it's funny too. So mom called during the game, and she was saying, what are you doing? And I'm doing some work, watching the game. And she's like, I'm watching the game too, and needle pointing. So
as one does,
she's like, I don't know who these players are. And our mom lives in St. Louis, and she only gets to watch games that are on national TV. And she's not finding NBA TV either. We're talking about TNT or ESPN. That's basically the extent of her search capabilities. And when she's like, I don't know these players, mom likes basketball. She's interested in this stuff. She'll sit and watch games, even that don't have the Lakers in it, if it's on TV. And that to me is an indictment. And it really gets to some of the stuff we're talking. Like, this is an indictment of the people who promote the league. And it's something that they can fix, because market in basketball should not matter. I mean, it matters a little bit. You get your marquee franchises in any sport. It makes a difference, but it should, your MVP of your league is in this series. I can understand why Indiana, Halliburton coming off an iffy season maybe wasn't on TV as much, but this is an example of how the NBA can fix stuff and do a better job of promoting and introducing small market teams.
Mm-hmm.
To them. Your stars are your stars. I go back to the example. I know it's football and it trumps everything, and quarterback is different, but Pat Mahomes plays in Kansas City, which is not exactly playing in New York. It's so it can be done, folks, as long as you don't bleep on the product all the time. The thing that I noticed though, Andy, that really stuck out to me in terms of thinking about the Lakers, the level of athleticism, just starting there on both of these teams compared to what the Lakers put out on the floor this year is absurd. Before you even get to the two-way versatility and all this other stuff, the team like Indiana has, these two teams are light years more athletic than the Lakers. And I don't think the Lakers can make up that gap in an offseason, but they got to make up some of that gap this offseason.
They've got to try to find ways. I mean, whether through trade, hopefully just the center that they will presumably trade for, and maybe another one that they sign, or whoever they look to try to bring in. Athleticism, among other qualities, simply has to be. I mean, in the trade for Luka, as much as it's a trade the Lakers would make 100 times out of 100, and we approve of that logic, losing Anthony Davis and losing Max Christie, you lost two of your most athletic players in that one piece of the transaction. And even when you brought in someone like Dorian Finney-Smith for D'Lo, DFS might be an athleticism upgrade over D'Lo, but as far as NBA athleticism goes, particularly at this stage of DFS's career in his early 30s, I'd say he's
middle of the road. He's
average-ish.
Average. Yeah.
I mean, Rui, LeBron, when he's really cranking things up, connect sort of in his own right, and honestly, like Bronny, like those are really your most athletic players.
Yeah, I mean, Rui's of the rotation guys. Rui's probably the most athletic.
Jackson Hayes is too, but
yeah,
he has other issues.
Yeah, I mean, but I agree with you. Among the rotation guys, Rui is probably the most athletic, and that you can put LeBron. I mean, Luka's obviously a tremendous athlete, but that's not in the way that we're talking about here. But that LeBron is in there, like it's both remarkable and kind of an indictment of the rest of the roster.
Yeah, I mean, even someone like Vando's got, I think, above average athleticism, but he gets hurt so much. Like at this point,
well, I mean, it's a limited. Connect might be the best pure athlete on the team. He's a guy can jump out of the gym and he's quick and he's a little bit like. Yeah, but he's not. But he also it doesn't translate defensively. He doesn't move his feet. Like he's got that sort of offensive hops. Like this is we'll talk about this after the break. But this is the other part of the issue. It's like Connect has athleticism that translates one way. Vanderbilt has athleticism that essentially translates one way. LeBron, when he's dialed in, has that, can do it sort of to his, but you go up and down the roster for Indiana, Turner, Neesmith, Nembhard, Siakam. I mean, these guys are, and then you go to Oklahoma City and it's
the whole damn team.
The whole goddamn band is white. It's like, it's just crazy what these guys can do and the gap between them and the Lakers. So we'll wrap this up a little bit and also get into the absurdity that is the New York Knicks coaching search. We'll get to that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Wayfair. There's nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space and feeling like it's an oasis, your own personal happy place. And if you want to turn if you want to update your patio, Wayfair has it easy. It's the easy way to turn it into a space that feels like yours, comfortable, stylish, and ready for summer. They've got everything you need to level up your outdoor space: conversation sets, outdoor bars, hot tubs, gazebos, the works. It's like giving your backyard a resort feel, but without the resort price tag. And whether your style is a little bit eclectic or clean and modern, they can fit whatever you want within your space, within your budget, and the delivery fast, free, and hassle-free, even with larger items. And again, it can just feel like you are creating your own personal spot that reflects you. Don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with Wayfair. Enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now. Shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
So we'll get to the Knicks here in a second, but to me, Andy, what this drives home is we've talked about, what about Brook Lopez? What about Chris Paul? What about some of these players that are objectively still productive NBA players and probably significantly better in some ways than some of the players that they could get. like Brook Lopez still really good, and he's better than 90% of the centers that are on the open market this offseason. He's just definitionally that we know.
It might be an indictment of the center market, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. CP among, let's just say, veterans minimum guards, still going to be more productive than most of them. But the problem is none of them, those guys they make the lack of athleticism worse. They do not improve those shortcomings. And so the Lakers just have to be really careful in how they put this stuff together as much as they can, and have a really good feel for how they want to approach it, what they're going to value. Are you going to value the raw talent, the overall productivity that a player might bring, or is it better to have a lesser player that balances the roster a little bit? A guard who isn't as good as CP, but fills different needs. Maybe he's a little better backcourt defender, it's just a little bit more athletic, but whatever it is, or a center. You understand what I'm getting at? This is the challenge the Lakers have, because where they're going to be getting a lot of their talent, likely, especially depending, if they trade, three players out to bring two players back, all these things, they're going to be in a market to get a lot of minimum guys, probably.
Well, I think that's where you hope someone like Jordan Goodwin, who I am expecting to be on the team this coming season, just because his contract, it's under $3 million. And if nothing else, he is clearly a back-end rotation player. But there's certain things Goodwin, I think, already is established he brings to the table, with defense, with rebounding, particularly for his position and size. I think he reads the floor well, especially defensively. I think he anticipates certain things well. It's if he can just get himself up to essentially average level offense, to a point where it feels like he's at least going to contribute something, even if it's at the low end of a baseline something. Then you just start balancing things out, and then he starts becoming more of a younger, playable guy at that salary slot, and it gives you a little bit more wiggle room for some of the other things you're going to be looking to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I find this process to be kind of fascinating, and what the Lakers are going to do and how they do it, and which can you build a more coherent, balanced roster this offseason, given the challenges that you have in terms of the assets available. It is presumed that J.J. Redick will be the coach of the Lakers next year. We don't know, because as of about 10 o'clock on Wednesday evening, the Knicks may or may not have gotten around to asking for permission to interview him for their job. We don't know if JJ, I think the Knicks are just kind of moving down a list. They're going alphabetically by geography. I'm not entirely sure. We have mocked the Lakers and their coaching searches and how they approach certain things, process questions for the Lakers, Andy. But I cannot think of an early coaching search process that has been more embarrassing than what is going on with the Knicks right now, who have apparently reached out to and been denied permission to speak with, let me know if I'm forgetting anyone, Jason Kidd, Chris Finch,
Quinn Snyder,
right?
Billy Donovan,
that's who I was forgetting.
Ime Udoka.
Plus,
and this doesn't require permission from a team, but just on his own, retired Villanova former coach Jay Wright just said no on his own. He didn't actually need permission from an NBA owner. He just, I guess, in his own right, went rogue and said no. So at this point, to the best of my knowledge, neither one of us are Knicks insiders, and I'm sure over at Locked On Knicks they are. I hope
appreciative of the content, if nothing else.
Yeah, I was going to say, if nothing else, there's some dark comedy that they can mine from this. To the best of my knowledge, they have thus far interviewed nobody. because they are too busy getting told you can't interview this person.
At what point, if you're an existing, an active NBA coach right now, do you get offended when like they're not trying to get you? I mean, the young guy Mosley or whatever I think it is in Orlando, like is his feelings hurt? Like Kenny Atkinson coming off a good season, are his feelings hurt? Like and look, it is not uncommon for teams to ask for permission or all these other things. What is different about this, and I think there is a lot of glee in making the Knicks look bad.
I know I enjoy it.
But like, among coaches,
fun.
coaches, GMs, all this stuff who feel like they did Tibbs dirty and, it was unfair. And like, so they're kind of enjoying making him suffer a little bit. I've seen ask for permission denied. Okay, move on. Who are our assistants? I've never seen like publicized at the very least this many coaches this quickly. Like maybe it's happened, maybe it's normal, but it doesn't usually get out if nothing else.
You and I have covered the Lakers for almost 20 years, which means by definition, we are at least semi-covering the NBA, because to cover a team closely, you have to know what's going on with the rest of the league. I find it very difficult to believe that neither one of us can remember even a close comp to what's happening. Like, it is one thing to ask one team for permission to talk to their employed head coach. That happens. I don't remember ever a team asking for 2 employed head coach permissions, much less 5, and who knows how many others are coming. I imagine
in like 3 days. It's not like they've been doing this for like a month and a half.
I am sure there is an element of the other owners essentially giving Jim Dolan the finger, because he is notoriously not popular among his peers. But what I think is unspoken about this is all of these teams, whether they talk about the Rockets or the Bulls or the Wolves or whoever, the Mavs, whoever said no, they're saying no, I guarantee, having at least run it by their current coach. And they're finding out that their coach isn't interested, because if your coach actually really wants that interview with the Knicks and to get that Knicks job, you're better off getting that guy out the door, extracting some type of asset from the Knicks and moving on. So the piece of this that's going unspoken a lot is none of these coaches want to coach a team that just went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, and I think, people don't want to leave that gig again. Well, this is where letting Tibbs go in the way that they did probably doesn't help them. But also, too, it's just, Jim Dolan is not considered the greatest of owners. They do have, Leon Rose has finally got that organization. They went to the Eastern. There's a good team. But what I think is funny about it, too, it's like, isn't this the kind of thing you should know before you ask? Like, do a little background work here. Like, you should know whether or not Jason Kidd really is interested and would put the internal pressure on Dallas to let him go. And, obviously there's going to be compensation. There's all this other stuff. Like, but, you should know if like Quinn Snyder wants to leave Atlanta to come to the Knicks. Like, do some back channeling work here, people. Like, come on. Anyway, we do want to get into, and we'll do it tomorrow, this Lonzo Ball has been connected to the Lakers more than once over the course of this offseason as a potential trade target from a Chicago Bulls team that could be active this offseason. It's an intriguing potential acquisition for the Lakers. We'll talk about that and plenty more tomorrow. We'll see everyone then.